All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most secretive and, well, mysterious places on the entire planet, North Korea. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to trace this story right from the very beginning, when Korea was split in two, all the way up to today. We'll get to know the leaders, the strange and powerful ideas that built the country, and what life is really like for the people who live there. Okay, let's jump in. To really get North Korea, you have to start with this one big question. And the answer begins, maybe surprisingly, at the end of a massive world war. Okay, let's rewind the clock. Picture this. It's 1945. For years, the Korean Peninsula has been under the thumb of Japanese rule. But now Japan has lost World War II, and you think freedom is coming. Instead, something else arrived: division. So, with Japan defeated, these two new global giants, the US and the Soviet Union, they step in. And they just drew a line on a map. The 38th parallel. Seems simple enough, right? A temporary fix. But, as we now know, that temporary line became one of the most heavily armed borders in the world. And it sent two Koreas down completely different roads. And it didn't take long for that tension to just explode into a brutal, devastating war. The fighting didn't even end with a peace treaty, just a ceasefire that's still technically in place today. The result is this deep scar across the land, a constant reminder of a country and so many families that were torn apart. So while the South went one way, up in the North, one figure, with the backing of the Soviets, was about to shape the entire destiny of the country. His name was Kim Il-sung. So who was this guy? Well, he started out as a guerrilla fighter against the Japanese. The Soviets picked him to lead their new satellite state, but, and this is key, he was nobody's puppet. For almost half a century, he built this incredible cult of personality around himself. He wasn't just a president, he was the son of the nation, a godlike father figure to everyone. Now, to hold all this together, he created this core ideology. It's called Juche. That's pronounced Juchi, and it literally means self-reliance. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But in practice, wow. It became the perfect excuse to completely wall the country off from the rest of the world and to justify total state control over everything. And this idea, this cult of personality, it was everywhere. It was the very air people breathed. His picture was in every single home. Kids in school learned that he was basically a superhero. He wasn't just a leader, he was the nation's father. And that incredible myth, that was his legacy to his son. Okay, so fast forward to 1994. Kim Il-sung dies, and his son, Kim Jong-il, takes over. But the kingdom he just inherited, it was on the absolute brink of collapse. You see, the whole world had changed. North Korea's biggest supporter, its economic lifeline, the Soviet Union, it was just gone. It had collapsed. And just like that, all the aid, the food, the fuel, it vanished overnight. And the human cost of that collapse, it's almost unimaginable. We're talking about this many people. That's the estimated number of people who died in the massive famine of the 1990s, a period North Korea itself calls the arduous march. So what do you do when your country is starving? Well, Kim Jong-il made a choice. He decided that instead of feeding his people, he would build up the military. He called it the military-first policy. It meant every last resource went to the army, and crucially, to developing nuclear weapons. So then, in 2011, Kim Jong-il dies, and his successor is his son, Kim Jong-un, a young guy, basically a total unknown to the rest of the world. Seriously, a lot of people were wondering, is this it? Can this kid really hold on to power? Well, he proved them wrong, and he did it fast. He was absolutely ruthless. He got rid of anyone who could possibly be a rival, and that even included his own uncle. And the nuclear program? He didn't just continue it, he put it on hyperdrive. And that's really become his signature on the world stage, right? One minute, he's threatening all-out war. The next, he's shaking hands with world leaders. It keeps everyone guessing. But while all this is happening, while the world is focused on the leaders and the missiles, what is life actually like for regular people there? Yeah, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Because for an ordinary North Korean, life is defined by this incredibly rigid system of total control. It's all built around something called songbin. Think of it as a social ranking system. It's not about how much money you have, it's about how loyal your family is or was to the regime. And your songbin score, it basically decides your entire life. I mean, it is literally decided the moment you're born. It's based on what your parents or even your grandparents did. Were they loyal revolutionaries? Great. You're in the core class. You get the good stuff. Were they landowners or seen as enemies of the state? Too bad. You're branded as hostile for life. So you live your entire life knowing you're being watched. It's this whole web of control. Your neighbors might be informants. You can't just hop on the internet. They have their own walled-off version. And if you say one wrong thing, one tiny criticism of the leaders, your whole family could pay the price. Maybe even end up in one of the notorious political prison camps. All right, so here we are, 3 generations of Kims, more than 70 years of this unique system. So where does that leave North Korea today? I mean, you have to admit their ability to just survive is pretty incredible. They've weathered famines, sanctions, and immense international pressure. And what they've built is this huge paradox, a country that can build nukes, but can't always feed its own people. But the world is changing. The biggest threat to the regime now might not be an army, but information. Information smuggled in on tiny USB drives. So that really is the ultimate question, isn't it? In our hyper-connected world, how long can the world's most secret kingdom stay secret? Honestly, nobody knows the answer to that.
¿Quieres practicar los listenings del examen SLP con preguntas reales? En este canal encontrarás audios basados en situaciones auténticas del SLP, con el nivel y vocabulario que necesitas. Las preguntas y respuestas de cada ejercicio están disponibles en nuestro libro oficial disponible en Amazon. Escucha, practica y mejora tu puntuación. Tienes el enlace directo en nuestra descripción.